We're now going to see how to navigate through an initial evaluation. Find your initial evaluation patient on your scheduling calendar, click on their name, and then click the Join button. You've now entered the virtual treatment room, which for now is the virtual waiting room as we wait for our patient to enter. I'm going to take you through a little bit of navigation around the documentation for an initial evaluation, as well as what some of the buttons mean on the screen. So I am the clinician, I am the PT, and I can see myself down in the lower left-hand video thumbnail. I want to make sure that both my audio and my video are turned on. This is where the patient will eventually appear when I allow them to enter through the flashing orange Allow Patient to Enter button. But for now, before our patient enters, let's go over some of the features of the initial evaluation. This arrow pulls your documentation tab over and back. This monitor is a shared screen button. So if you would like to share your screen with the patient to maybe show them a URL that has a picture of the shoulder so that you can further educate them about the anatomy of the shoulder, you can use this button and add the Chrome extension to be able to share your screen with the patient. This is a refresh button. If you ever have any audio or video issues, your first line of defense is to try and refresh your screen here. The documentation tab defaults to an overview tab where we see some intake details. We see the clinician's jurisdiction and license number. We see that our patient has indicated their symptoms with a red dot on the body chart. And then we're going to be asked to set a body focus with our patient. As we talk to them subjectively, we're going to know that there is a body part specific to what we're going to be treating. And then we're going to ask the patient what their symptoms are right now as they're speaking to us. We can slide the scale to then record those symptoms, set the symptom level, and it will graph it for us nicely at the bottom. Now, the patient will be prompted every time they log in to do their home exercises or when they log in for a monitored treatment or a re-eval, they'll be prompted to rate their symptoms, and we'll see this graph continue to get recorded. The medical tab is where you will see the medical history details for the patient. They are prompted to fill this out prior to entering your session, but if they haven't, you can fill it out with the patient. Click on the Edit button to review all the medical details, including medications, surgeries, and any additional details the patient has listed about their condition. Hit the Close button to exit out. There's also Patient-Reported Outcome Measures, PROMs. On the PROMs tab, you can select from one of 4 patient-reported outcome measures: the lower extremity functional scale, the upper extremity functional index, the Roland-Morris questionnaire for the lumbar spine, and the neck disability index. After choosing one, that particular outcome measure will pop up, and you can go through it with the patient and score by clicking on the appropriate fields. And when you're finished scoring, you will see the score automatically appear at the bottom. You can record this score in the subjective part of the initial evaluation. In the Documents tab is where you can upload any documents into the patient's episode of care. This might include physician's notes, any physician prescriptions, maybe diagnostic test results. Just double-click on any uploaded document to view. Now let's go over the SOAP note format for our initial evaluation. Clicking on the Subjective tab will open up the subjective notes. Prefabricated boxes indicate where you can record their mechanism of injury, their chief complaint. You can also rate their symptoms at best and worst. You can make notes on their symptom location and behavior, as well as their occupational and lifestyle information. If there's any additional details needed, you can document them here. Just make sure after you use this free text box, you click on Add Note to date and timestamp anything that you've recorded in this subjective section. Please note, there's also voice-to-text feature in some of the text boxes. The microphone is grayed out, and when you click on it, you'll be able to record a voice-to-text feature. Please note that if you click on this, it will completely cut your audio off to the patient. So it's only recommended that you use this voice-to-text feature after the patient has logged off and if you need to complete any other documentation. Make sure that when you're ready for your patient to enter the virtual treatment room, you click on the orange Allow Patient to Enter button. This will then allow your patient to enter on their chosen device. You will see that where it says Waiting for Patient, it will then change into Patient has arrived, and then your patient should appear in the video screen. It will tell you that they're connecting to the chat. And then you should be able to see and hear your patient. In the Objective tab, we have the ability to take still patient photos as well as videos or patient recordings. So for this module, you're going to see that your therapist or clinician is still down in the lower left-hand thumbnail, but your patient is in the big screen right here. To take a still picture or a photo of your patient, you want to click on the Patient Photos tab. You will click on the plus box, and that will bring up your camera. You'll have your patient get into position so that you can see what it is that you would like to record, and you would have them move into whatever position you need them to be in. You would click on the camera, and that will capture a still image. You can put a graph on this image. You can even drop and drag an online goniometer. And you can also caption the image. Here, we can also show this picture to our patient on their screen. And then we can also save the picture to our objective documentation. I'm going to select Save. And a pop-up will occur notifying me that that still caption and picture is saved in my objective. I can also do patient recordings or record a video of my patient moving. Click on Patient Recordings and then click on the plus box. This will bring up your video camera. Have the patient get into position and then start to record their movement by hitting the camera. It will turn red so you know that you are recording the patient. Have them do whatever movement you would like them to do. Instruct them along the way. And then go ahead and click the camera again to then stop the recording. Again, I can caption this picture. I can show this video to my patient. And I can also save this to my objective documentation. I'm going to select Show. The video is being prepared so that my patient can view it. I'm going to play the video for my patient. They can now see that video on their screen, and I'm going to click Stop Showing to Patient, and then save that video. I can also document different observations in the free text observation box. Make sure that after you write anything in the free text box, that you're also clicking on Add Note to date and timestamp it. Now we can go to Assessment. In the Assessment tab, we see prefabricated boxes again to fill out our patient presentation, our impairments, our functional deficits, and the patient's rehab potential. Again, any additional notes can be made in the box, and then hit Add Note to complete the documentation. Here, there's also a goal builder in the Goals and Progress tab. By clicking on that, we can type out whatever our goal is for our patient. We can label it long or short term, and then we can also give it a time frame. And along the course of the episode of care, you can progress it in a percentage fashion. You can add additional goals by clicking on the plus sign. And now we go on to the plan. This is where we start to build the patient's exercise program. In the exercise library, we can search for exercises for body focus, which is body part. Click on the box next to the body part that you're dealing with, and all of the exercises for that body part will populate. To preview or view an exercise to see if you want to prescribe it for your patient, you would click on the thumbnail of the exercise, and it will pop up and preview. If you feel like you would want to add that exercise into the patient's program, you would click on the green Add button. If this exercise is one that you frequently use, you can also click on the yellow star to favorite it so that it will put it at the top priority of your search. You can also search for exercises by exercise type. If you wanted exercises that just dealt with stabilization, you would click on stabilization. And we've also pre-populated the shoulder, so those exercises start to populate in the library. You can also search for exercises with keywords. If you type into the keywords box, every exercise that has front raises in the title will then pop up. After you're done compiling your exercises, you go to your Exercises tab, and you can see the exercises that you've added into the patient's program. You can reorder these exercises by clicking on the thumbnail and dragging them into the position of how you want them ordered. You can also show this video to your patient. So the patient who's on the other side of the screen will be able to see this exercise video and preview it. You would click on Show Video to Patient, and then you would click on the Play button. This exercise video will now play on the patient's screen. They can view it and demonstrate it for you. Make sure, if you want to stop showing the video to the patient, you click on the gray Stop Showing Video to Patient. If you decided this exercise is not something that you want to have in the patient's program, you would click on the X button to delete it. We can see that these 3 exercises will take our patient a duration of just over 10 minutes. We can change the home exercise program frequency. We can also state how many telerehab sessions we want the patient to complete. We can also change the rest time in between the exercise videos. We can also make these 3 exercises a template. If we frequently use these 3 exercises, we can name them a specific name and create a template for these 3 exercises by naming the template and then clicking on the green check. If we want our patients' home exercises to be recorded so that we can scrub through them later and look at the exercises that they've done on their own, you would toggle on Record HEP Sessions. Once all your exercises are compiled and are final, you click on the Instructions tab, and you can make any additional notes here for the patient. You might not want them to move through pain, or if you want to instruct them to ice after their exercises, you can do so here in the additional notes. And this note will appear before the patient starts their exercises. You also want to save these exercises to the patient's plan of care, and you can do that by choosing Save Plan Only. If you're done compiling exercises for your patient and you wish to email a link to them with the exercise playlist, you would choose Save and Send Update Email to Patient. A pop-up will appear notifying you that the patient has an email with the link to their home exercise program. You can also record a video here to your patient. You can give them any specific instructions, and you can also just thank them for attending the evaluation with you. This offline communication with messaging via video is a great connection to your patient. You can also document in this box here the rest of your plan as far as frequency and duration that you're going to see your patient. Again, click the Add Note button. After you're done with your plan, you can then book your patient for their next session by clicking on Book, choosing Monitored Treatment, and then scheduling the patient for their next session. After clicking OK, you and the patient will receive an email confirmation for the next session. To then close this initial evaluation, you will click on the Close arrow, and you will have a few choices here. If the patient never showed up for the appointment, you would choose Patient No-Show. If you decided the patient is not suitable for telerehab, you would choose Not Suitable for Telerehab. If there was no treatment rendered, maybe there was an audio or a video issue a little ways into the session and it wasn't completed, you would choose No Treatment Rendered. If you're able to complete your initial evaluation, but you'd like to leave it open and continue your documentation later, you would choose Leave Open for Documentation. Last, you would choose Treatment Rendered if you're completely done with your initial evaluation and you're satisfied with your documentation.